probably glide down on a tree, snap, snap, swear words, swear words, swear words.
I remember reading this for the first time.
Really?
Like, what?
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles to Squibs Corner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
And I got a quick question before we hop into this, Andrew.
I got a quick answer.
It's going to be the shortest pre-show chatter we've ever had.
Okay.
When it comes to shirts, tucked or untucked?
Well, it depends on the situation. If you're just casual, untucked is cool. If you're going to church, tucked. If I'm playing golf, tucked. If I'm done playing golf, untucked. if I'm working out, untucked. You know, so it's really...
It's going to come untucked anyways. Yeah.
It's all situational.
Yeah, for me, it's untucked all the way. I think if I was skinny or in shape, tucked in might have its place. But, you know, being overweight, I'm like, untucked, man. Untucked all the way.
We don't need to show off any curves.
Yeah. Like being at work wearing the uniform button-up shirt. It looks better on people tucked in, but when I tuck it in, I'm like, this looks terrible. I'm not doing it.
Good.
All right, so today, the Philosopher's Stone, chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel. And again,
We've been searching for that guy.
Well, you're going to get tired of me saying this. Fantastic beast. You just got you got to watch it, man. Nicholas Flamel. I remember Nicholas Flamel coming out, and I just popped so hard. There he is.
Sure.
It was great.
Okay.
Well,
get it. Maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe
Not
someday.
today.
Maybe after this book, we'll have to do a movie review on Fantastic Beasts for the podcast.
That's a good way to make me watch the movie.
Yes, it is.
That's a good way.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this 7-word summary. Go for it.
Okay, so last episode, you remember I gave 2.
And you're incorrect on one?
And I was incorrect on one, and I'll tell you what it was. So typically, the week that we do a chapter, I'll re-listen to that chapter because we're reading the 7th book as a family right now. And so I went on a run because that's one of my 2025 things. I go on runs now. It sucks. But anyway, so I went for a few mile run and I listened to 2 chapters. That's why I was like, man, I know it's Nicholas Flamel, but they got so much stuff happening. And,
man, this is a long chapter.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to reuse the one that I used last week. Found Nicholas Flamel, Snape and Quirrell. Suspicious.
Deja vu.
Boom.
Mine is Harry Potter's got it all figured out.
I like it. I like that.
It's great.
The next chapter, they figure more things out.
Yeah. Before we get into this, I just want to say thank everybody for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, you can comment on there. Like the podcast. It'll help the podcast reach more people. We're also on YouTube and Instagram, Squibs Corner. So if you want to check us out there, we are there.
Yeah, I've been chatting it up with patients since you made it go live, and they've been looking for it. So I'm like, awesome, sweet, yeah.
Yeah. We might even have business cards coming out. You never know.
Whoa.
Well, maybe not business cards, but like maybe a postcard. Like, here's a postcard of my podcast.
Yeah. Just QR code this. Just listen.
Yeah, QR code. There you go. Listen. I have no idea how to do that.
It's easy. It's so easy. You just go on Google, type in free QR code, copy and paste the link to Spotify or whatever, and then they'll make a QR code. It's super easy. You can even make a logo, and that can be in the middle of the QR code. Super easy.
Well, there you go. You could QR code our episode for your clients.
There you go.
I don't have clients, so my advertising is all social media, and it's
You just leave it. Just get some sticky notes and leave them on the top of every trash can.
yeah.
There you go. So you'll have whole neighborhoods joining in, half of them complaining, but like, there's a guy that's wanting us to read witchcraft.
So back in the day, there was MySpace. MySpace.
Back in the day.
We miss you, Tom. Tom, right? Tom? Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, my my URL. You gotta love emos. So my URL was, I think, like myspace.com/darkest secret. So we just finished wrestling, and so we went to Denny's, and there were some sticky notes in the car I was in. So I wrote myspace.com. I put my URL and I put it on the newspaper deal outside, and one of my friends looked at it and said, "What does that say?" I said, "Oh, that's my MySpace link." And how do you spell secret? And they SECRET. They said, "No, this says SECREAT. Darkest secret."
Oh no.
So yeah. Maybe you should come up with a QR code.
Squibs Cornier.
Yes. Why is nobody listening? I put it everywhere.
All right. Okay. So last chapter, we got to say hello and goodbye to the Mirror of Erised, which is an ancient and powerful magical artifact that shows the viewer, shows the person sitting in front of it, their heart's deepest desire, which Harry's deepest desire was to see his family. And Ron's deepest desire was to almost break out of the shadow of his older brothers, become Quidditch captain, become head boy, shake Dumbledore's hand.
And Dumbledore's was to hold a thick pair of woolen socks, which, you know what? I'm all for it.
Hey, I dig it. I dig it.
I need to wear woolen socks to work because I have steel-toe boots and my toes get cold.
Ooh, yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
So Professor Dumbledore tells Harry at the end when they're talking in front of the mirror, he goes, "Look, men have wasted their lives sitting in front of it, but the mirror gives neither knowledge nor wisdom, and you can't really trust it, so it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live." And he tells him that the mirror is going to be moved and not to go looking for it. So then that brings us into Chapter 13, Nicholas Flamel, and here's how it starts. Dumbledore had convinced Harry not to go looking for the Mirror of Erised again, and for the rest of the Christmas holidays, the invisibility cloak stayed folded at the bottom of his trunk. Harry wished he could forget that he'd seen the mirror as easily, but he couldn't. He started having nightmares. Over and over again, he dreamed about his parents disappearing in a flash of green light, while a high voice cackled with laughter.
See, I like this opening paragraph because it goes back to, all this terribleness, and we keep going back to it. And it's also, Dumbledore told him, "Don't go looking for this mirror again," and Harry's just like, okay. An 11-year-old's like, okay, yeah, no problem.
Trust you, Dumbledore.
Yeah, and he never looked for it again. And
Yeah.
wow, that's some that's some strength for an 11-year-old.
For an 11-year-old, yeah.
You would expect, okay, and then just go follow him around. Harry, what are you doing? What are you doing, Harry? You told me no.
Well, and because of the conversation that Dumbledore had with Harry.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's like, "I saw you with your parents, and I saw Ronald Weasley with, his house cup over, and all this stuff." It's like, Dumbledore, have you been hanging out in front of the Mirror of Erised?
Oh.
Like, if you've been there multiple nights,
I'm sure he has.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure, is that one of those? Now, do I think that he would waste days there? No.
No, he's too smart for
But to go see,
that.
he's had a tough life. Dumbledore's had a tough life.
Well, also the fact that an 11-year-old understood all of this. it's really telling to, Harry Potter's personality, really.
Sure.
So now that school had started back, the Golden Trio was back to skimming through any library book they can get their hands on in an effort to find out who Nicholas Flamel was, which was difficult for Harry because Oliver Wood had intensified their Quidditch practice schedule and training. If Gryffindor won their next match against Hufflepuff, they would overtake Slytherin in the House Cup Championship, something that hasn't happened in 7 years. 7. But bad news came in from Oliver Woods telling the team that, Snape would be refereeing their next match.
That would upset me so much. I remember reading this for the first time.
Really?
Like, what? Dude just tried to murder Harry.
now he's the referee?
Now I guess the referee. Come on. What is happening at Hogwarts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of what is happening at Hogwarts.
What is happening at Hogwarts? Harry Potter in the year that. What is happening at Hogwarts?
When you walk into Hogwarts, the first thing you see on their door is, what is happening in Hogwarts? What is this? Don't worry about it.
It has been 0 days since our last injury.
Yes, there you go. Oh, man. So, at this point, only Harry, Ron, and Hermione suspected Snape of trying to curse Harry's broom from the previous match. The other members of the team just think that Snape will be unfair as a referee, and nobody believed them that Snape was doing it, not even Hagrid. Hagrid, oh no, Snape is...
Well, I think Hagrid's the only one that they told.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just looking back at
well, I mean, if Hagrid's not going to believe them, then who
why?
will?
Why would anybody else?
Yeah.
And so, you could obviously see the other the other team members like. So if we beat Hufflepuff, we overtake Slytherin in points, and now you've got the head of Slytherin House reffing the game. Like, what is happening here? So.
Yeah, you get the Gryffindor and Hufflepuff, so yeah.
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 So Harry goes back to the common room to tell Ron and Hermione, but they were locked into a game of wizard's chess, which was something that Hermione wasn't good at, and both Harry and Ron thought that was a good thing.
Yes.
It was good for Hermione not to be great at something.
Yeah.
So once he told them about Snape, they were both like, "Oh, you need to sit out the next match," and Ron's like, "Oh, you could be sick," and Hermione's like,
"You could act like you broke your leg."
You could act like you broke your leg, and then Ron's like, "You could really break your leg." It's like, dang, Ron, like what is happening? But then he said something interesting, which isn't really ever brought up. He goes, "Oh, Gryffindor doesn't have a reserve seeker," and so even when Harry's Quidditch captain. Like, there weren't reserves. There were just other people that tried out.
Yeah.
And when he needed people to step up.
Like, hey, you still want to be on the team?
Like, hey, do you still want to play? They're like, yeah, sure, we'll play. So I'm sure Oliver would. I can, we never learned who the seeker was last year.
Which is weird for how violent they kind of describe Quidditch to not have.
Yes, to not have reserves, no bench players out there. So anyway, he's like, there's no reserve seekers, so if I don't play, Gryffindor's got to forfeit. And we know, Oliver Wood would not let that happen.
Oh, no.
But their conversation was cut short when Neville toppled into the common room after Malfoy used the leg locker curse on him. Oh, you added something to this.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, so you ruined I was going to do a pop quiz on you later.
Oh, I was thinking maybe he left that out.
Yeah,
I'm going to think of something else.
You like, okay. Which the spell is locomotor motus.
Yes.
Which was going to be your pop quiz, one of your pop quiz questions.
Okay, there you go.
Which is a spell that binds the victim's legs together. And Hermione and Ron actually urged Neville to go report it. Like, go tell somebody. Like, you got to stand up for somebody. Stand up for yourself. And Neville shakes his head. He's like, no, I don't want any more trouble. And then he says the saddest thing, which you and I, if you're reading this for the first time, you learn so much about Neville. and you come to really admire Neville as a character. But he's had a tough life. He and Harry have kind of had similar lives. So Neville shakes his head. No, I don't want any more trouble. And he goes, "There's no need to tell me I'm not brave enough to be in Gryffindor. Malfoy's already done that." And I love Harry. Harry's like, "Bro, you're worth 12 of Malfoy. Gryffindor, the hat puts you in Gryffindor. Like, don't do that." But, Malfoy's just such a bully.
Well, it's also nice to hear Harry say something like that, knowing the environment he grew up in. So he's taking the initiative to make sure Neville feels good about himself.
So if we remember, Hermione had given Harry some chocolate frogs, which we thought was uncharacteristic of Hermione for a present. But he had one in his pocket. He pulls it out and he gives it to Neville. Neville cheers up. He opens it. And before he goes to bed, he's like, "Oh, do you want the card? It's Dumbledore. I've already got this." And Harry grabs Dumbledore's card, and it's like, boom, fireworks. He realizes where he had seen the name Nicholas Flamel before. It was his very first chocolate frog card that he got on the Hogwarts Express.
I wouldn't remember
It's all
either.
coming together.
Yeah. Wow.
It's all coming together.
Yep. So, you ever go to look for something? And you can't find it, and you can't find it, and you can't find it, and then when you find it, it's right there. It's just right there.
You know what it is?
Like,
you know what's the worst? You know what's the worst nowadays? Seeing a meme or a GIF, and then 4 months later, you're like, "Oh my gosh, there was this hilarious meme." And you Google, or try Googling, funny meme with seagull. You're going to get a million seagull memes.
Oh, yeah, I just tried to look up something today that I was trying to explain to somebody. I couldn't find it anymore.
Impossible.
Yeah, no.
Impossible.
Or you've probably done this. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I can't find my phone. Where's my phone? And then 10 minutes later, you realize you're holding it. Or back in the day when we used to talk on the phone, when it didn't give us anxiety, we'd be looking for our phone for like 30 minutes, and the person on phone, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my phone." You're talking on it. Oh.
I don't know if that's ever happened to me, Jeremiah. But I will say this.
I'm sure it has.
That happens to my wife all the time. I have to. So we both have iPhones, and we family share. So we do. My wife will be like, "Hey, I can't find." She'll text me from her laptop. "Can you ping my phone?" Sure. So I'll ping her phone all the time. But because I use my phone so much for work, it's near me all the time, and I hate that. I wish I could put it down and not
I have a
need it.
smartwatch or like a fitness tracker thing that's got to Find My Phone on it. So even if the phone's on silent, it'll beep. So that's nice. But anyways, everything it's just relatable. It just really is. Like, oh, that was on the first thing I was introduced.
They're like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it's like, man,
It's such a great feeling, though, when that happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it would be worse if it's been in like his pocket the whole time. That was my first card to keep it in my pocket.
Right? He looks at his chocolate frog collection every night.
Oh man. So the card reads, "Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945 for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel." Now, I added something else. It's not on your script, but it's on mine, and hopefully this isn't your other pop quiz. What are the 12 uses of dragon's blood? Well, I have them right here.
Wow.
Perfume, ink, antiviral, stopping bleeding, curing stomach ulcers, reducing fevers, dye, violin resin, which I think is pretty awesome, incense, painting pigment, toothpaste, and spells.
Now, I will say, let me pull this up for you. So this is so on HarryPotter.com.
All right.
You do the Sorting Hat, right? and it sorts you into your house. Then you take little quizzes to find out if you're or what your wand is and what your Patronus is. So my wife was doing. Oh dang, it's not on here. I had it yesterday. So my wife was doing the quiz yesterday. So she had never done the HarryPotter.com sorting quiz. So I'm a Gryffindor. Wow. Yeah, I'm a Gryffindor. My 13-year-old, she is a Ravenclaw. And my wife finally took the quiz yesterday, and she is a Gryffindor. So there's 3. Okay, we'll do a little fun pop quiz. What are the 3 cores commonly used in wands?
Oh, Phoenix.
Phoenix what?
Phoenix feather. What? Unicorn. Unicorn hair.
And then dragon heartstring.
Dragon heartstring, yes.
Okay, so I have my wand is on HarryPotter.com. It's Elm, 12.5 inches, dragon heartstring core. So this is what it says. So it's cool. So it goes in and you can click, and if you click on the dragon core, this is what it says. As a rule, dragon heartstrings produce wands with the most power, and which are capable of the most flamboyant spells. Dragon wands tend to learn more quickly than other types. While they can change allegiance if won from their original master, they always bond strongly with the current owner. The dragon wand tends to be easiest to turn to the dark arts, though it will not incline that way of its own accord. It is also the most prone of the 3 cores to accidents, being somewhat temperamental. So I think it's so cool that she gives background and stuff on and like even the elm, you can go in and it talks about the Elmwood. The unfounded belief that only purebloods can produce magic from elm wands was undoubtedly started by some elm wand owner seeking to prove his own blood credentials. For I have known perfect matches of elm wands who are muggleborns. The truth is that elm wands prefer owners with presence, magical dexterity, and a certain native dignity. Of all wand woods, elm, in my experience, produces the fewest accidents, which is funny because I've got dragon heartstring, which is the most prone to accidents. Of all wand woods, elm, in my experience, produces the fewest accidents, the least foolish errors, and the most elegant charms and spells. These are sophisticated wands capable of highly advanced magic in the right hands, which again makes it highly desirable to those who espouse the pureblood philosophy. And all of this stuff is, Ollivander, like from Ollivander's, experience. Yeah, but it's nice. Just cool. If you haven't gone on there, look up, research, read about your wand. It's really cool.
Most stuff in these books is not a coincidence. It's all done on purpose, which is it's more thought than a lot of other things have gotten. So sure. It's one of the things that makes it great. So Hermione runs off to grab a book, of course.
Naturally.
She flips through the pages and reads, Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Philosopher's Stone. So I believe this part in the movie, this is where the trio had, it's called chemistry read, right? I think this is the first scene they got together and kind of read so that they could see how the 3 of them will work together. Yeah, screen test.
Okay, yeah.
I think this was it. And then I seen the video and you could just see the smirk on Emma's face after she reads it. She's like, oh yeah, I got that.
Oh yeah, got it down.
Very, very Hermione of her. So Harry and Ron had no clue what that meant. That's fitting. The book explained further. The ancient study of alchemy is concerned with making the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance with astonishing powers. The stone would transform any metal into pure gold, kind of like the Midas hand.
The Midas touch, baby, yeah.
The Midas touch, yeah. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. there have been many reports of the Philosopher's Stone over the centuries, but the only stone currently in existence belonged to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist. So now they know what the dog is guarding, the Philosopher's Stone. Like I said, Harry's got it all figured out. Well, I guess at this point Hermione does.
Yeah.
A stone that turns any metal into gold and gives the user immortality. No wonder Snape wanted the stone. And no wonder they couldn't find Flamel in any of the modern wizarding books, because Ron points out, well, he's not modern, is he, if he's over 600 years old?
Yeah. So, next day, in Defense Against the Dark Arts, Harry tells the other two that he's definitely going to be playing in the Quidditch match, though Hermione was still hesitant. And like every other match leading up to it, there's just this palpable tension. It's worse when it's Slytherin and Gryffindor, but I think because this one, Snape is reffing, and there's a possibility that Gryffindor can overtake Slytherin for the House Cup lead. Is just a lot of tension. And it says that Snape is being extra mean to Harry, which is saying a lot, because every experience we've had with Harry and Snape, he's always mean to him. And so I love these little foreshadowing things. Harry wondered if Snape knew that they had found out about the stone, but there was no way that he could. And he had the sneaky suspicion that Snape could read minds. Or hello. So then the day of the match is here. And it's funny now looking back on it, because it says that Ron and Hermione had been practicing the leg locker curse to use on Snape if they needed to. And it's like, Snape is a powerful wizard.
But he's also a teacher.
He's also a teacher, and we see him do some bangarang moves with a wand. And so the fact that these two 11-year-olds is like, you know what, if Snape tries to kill Harry again, we're going to bind his legs. Like, what plan is that? What is the leg locker curse going to do?
All right. You got another one for me? Let's see.
Well, question number 1 for this pop quiz. What is the spell for the leg locker curse, Jeremiah?
See, we've already gone past it, so which means I've forgotten it. Something locomotus. See, I told you we've gone past it and I forgot it.
Locomotor mortis.
Yeah, there is. See, I just combined it.
Mortis. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, locomotus. And the second part to that spell, the more common spell that we're used to in Harry Potter, what is the spell for a full body bind?
Petrificus totalis, which
we go.
I think it's just awkward to say it. Son of a. I think they those two spells get confused.
Sure. Yeah, because locomotor mortis doesn't really specify any extremity, but I guess your legs make you go, so locomotor mortis, and
that one doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue either.
No.
I can't even say it.
So before the match, right before the match, Wood urges Harry to catch the snitch as soon as he possibly can, and it's almost like I wonder if Harry was like, bro, I always try to catch the snitch as fast as I can.
It's like going to work and they say, okay, so today you're going to do it. Yeah, I do that every day.
It's what I do. Like, I guess I'm always trying to get it as soon as I can. But this time he's like, get it as soon as you can. That way it doesn't give Snape time to favor the Hufflepuffs.
Yeah, now you people listening, pay attention to what Wood says to Harry about the snitch, because it only gets more aggressive as we go through the books.
Year 1 is pretty tame when it comes to Quidditch. So then, as they're about to go to the field or the pitch, George notices that Dumbledore was at the match, which is interesting because George played last year, and George played this year. So for him to notice, it seems like in the movies, everybody is at every match, including Dumbledore.
Well, I always assumed Dumbledore was always there.
But apparently him saying, Yeah, he goes, even Dumbledore is at this match.
Yeah.
And so, but which would make sense. If he doesn't go to every match, it would make sense that he would be at this one, since there was an incident at the last match, with Harry's broom. So
Yeah.
I get it. But Harry was super relieved. Super relieved.
Oh, I
when he found out that
imagine.
Dumbledore was going to be there.
Oh, yeah, Snape can't do anything. Everyone noticed Snape looking angry when the match was getting started. Maybe Dumbledore's presence put a stop to his plans? Who knows?
Who knows?
As soon as the match started, Ron felt a sharp poke to the back of his head. And 5 points. If any one of you listening can guess who poked Ron. Malfoy, yeah. Accompanied by none other than Crabbe and Goyle. While trying to watch the match, Malfoy is bullying Ron and Neville. Ron and Neville, not just Ron this time. Yeah, so now Neville has decided it's time to stand up to Malfoy. And this is where... So it was good that said, Neville, you're worth 12 of Malfoy.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where... I don't want to say the word backfires, but it kind of makes him... You don't expect him to tell, hey, I'm worth 12 of you, Malfoy. You don't expect him to go over to Malfoy and tell him that.
You expect him to say that, yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly what Neville said. And then a lot of things started happening all at once. Harry goes into a dive. Malfoy runs his mouth. Harry streaks towards the ground. Ron and Neville start fighting Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle. Harry's speeding straight at Snape. Hermione stands on her seat and cheers as there's an all-out brawl going on right behind her. Snape turns on his broomstick just in time to get out of the way as something scarlet flies past him. Harry pulls out of the dive, golden snitch in hand. No one could even remember the snitch being caught so quickly.
Yeah.
And,
all happening at the same time.
I don't even think Ron, Neville, or Malfoy knew that the match was over.
No.
No.
So obviously he catches... Wood was probably beside himself with glee.
Oh,
and even in this short time, I think Snape had already called a foul or some penalty on Gryffindor.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Even though this is super
he would
quick,
be calling stuff just you looked at me wrong, 5 points from Gryffindor.
Oh, it's because George hit a bludger at him. That's what it was.
Well,
Fred
okay.
Fred or George
fair
hit a
enough.
bludger at him.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, so game's over. Gryffindor's won. It has to be by a clear margin of at least 100 or 130 or 140. I don't know if Hufflepuff scores. So all the commotion, all the congratulations. Even Dumbledore walks up to Harry and is like, hey, great job. Good to see that you haven't spent time looking for the mirror and you've been focused on other things. Good job. And so everybody's super stoked. Harry goes back to the locker room. Everything's great. Harry's on top of the world, says he can't remember ever feeling, this happy or this good. And so he kind of stays in there for a little bit. Everyone's gone, so he takes his broom over to the broom shed, which is another thing. The broom shed's not really mentioned a lot in the story.
I don't think it's mentioned
that there's a broom shed. Because like in year 4, when he summons his broomstick, it comes from the castle.
Yeah, well, you just assume they put their brooms away. I mean, that really has to be said about it. I mean,
so anyway, so he goes and he takes his broom to the broom shed, and as he's leaning against the broom shed, thinking about the match and everything that happened, he sees a hooded figure walking pretty briskly from the castle, walking straight, almost at a run, towards the Forbidden Forest. And Harry knew by the way that it was moving that it was Snape. And I assumed that maybe at this point he's still got a limp. I don't know.
I would,
because they all wear robes.
Yeah.
Maybe Snape's got his surly glide to him. I don't know. So obviously Harry, being Harry, needs to know what he was up to. And this is the part that's a little elementary. Harry hops on his broom and he heads towards the forest. And once he hears the voice in the forest, he lands his broom on a towering beech tree noiselessly. So he's low enough in the air that he can hear voices, but yet this man is going to glide down onto a tree. Like
No,
he's a
I would probably glide. I would probably glide down on a tree. Snap, snap, swear words, swear words, swear word.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, bro, we get that you're good at Quidditch and all, but now you can just effortlessly land on branches that can support your
Hey,
way.
man, when you're a natural, you're a natural.
I mean, it's in his blood. It's in his blood.
There you go.
At any rate, he overhears a conversation between Snape and Professor Quirrell. And Quirrell was stuttering worse than ever. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be Snape or Quirrell?
I'll be Quirrell. It's fine.
All right. Here's what Harry heard.
Don't know why you wanted to meet me for places, Severus.
Oh, I thought we'd keep this private. Students aren't supposed to know about the Philosopher's Stone after all. Have you found out how to get past that beast of Hagrid's yet?
But Severus, I
You don't want me as your enemy, Quirrell.
I don't know what you...
You know perfectly well what I mean. Your little bit of hocus pocus. I'm waiting.
But I don't...
Very well. We'll have another little chat soon when you've had time to think things over and decided where your loyalties lie.
That is a line that will always be remembered, where you decide where your loyalties lie. I don't know why that line always sticks out to me, but I think it's just the way it's said. When you decide where your loyalties lie. Yeah, that stutter. What do they say? That he was perfectly fine until he ran into the vampires?
Yeah,
and that's why his turban stinks, because it's full of garlic or something like that.
Garlic.
It's always nice when we get to cosplay the characters. I like it.
Well, we should do it more often.
Yeah. So once Harry finally made it back to the castle, probably noiselessly, because, he's a natural.
So noiselessly.
Oh, yes. Hermione was concerned where he had been, but Ron just wanted to celebrate that Quidditch victory. And I'm thinking, so if you're flying a broomstick, is there noise?
Does a broom make a noise? Why would it? It's magic.
Yeah. I mean, but...
It doesn't need an engine or anything.
I mean,
I assume if you go fast enough...
Yeah. I guess if someone's riding a bicycle down a hill and they're not pedaling, you don't hear them. I mean, you hear everything, but
you hear the
somebody
tires.
Watching doesn't hear you.
You hear the tires because it creates friction against the road.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the only thing that the broom is creating friction against is the air, and you have to go pretty fast.
Yeah, nobody can hear the air except for you, the flyer. So
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
I never thought about that.
Look, I'm glad we could talk about that here at Squibs Corner.
Yes.
Are the brooms quiet? Are they noiseless?
Hey, I bet nobody's ever thought about that, and now
Here
because
we are
of us,
breaking
they
boundaries.
Hey, we're ripping apart the books, all right?
There we go. Let's do it.
So they also want to celebrate the fact that Ron gave Malfoy a black eye, and Neville took on Crabbe and Goyle single-handedly, which I can't picture Neville fighting it. I can picture him fighting Malfoy, because I can picture Malfoy not knowing how to fight. But Crabbe and Goyle, I can picture Ron going at Crabbe and Goyle, because he's got all kinds of brothers.
Yeah, I could see it. But he Malfoy loves to make fun of how poor the Weasleys are.
Yeah.
And we already know this book several occasions that Ron is very self-conscious about his family's, lack of wealth. So.
Oh yeah, as one would be. Yeah.
Snapped.
As Ron is telling Harry that there's a party going on in the common room, Harry interrupts him to tell him and Hermione about the conversation he overheard between Snape and Quirrell. Of course, they're his best friends. Why wouldn't he? That's probably the A-line to Hermione and Ron. They deduce that there's multiple defenses set up to guard the stone, which we we haven't
Well,
figured that out at this point, or did Hagrid say that?
well,
Snape...
we know that Hagrid, Hagrid lets slip. Not only is it's Hagrid's dog, but Snape saying your little bit of hocus pocus.
Okay.
So that's where they're like, oh, are there multiple, multiple things that are guarding the stone, not just Fluffy? Do we know that his name's Fluffy yet? I keep using the name Fluffy.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever thought that Quirrell was part of the people defending the stone. I don't think I ever really thought too. I have thought like, what is Snape talking about? His little bit of hocus pocus. I didn't know what he was referring to, but
Sure.
I guess it makes sense that maybe Quirrell's one that's helped protecting the stone.
Sure.
Yeah. That seems pretty obvious. The things you learn, the more you know.
So knowing is half the battle.
And now Hermione deduces that the stone is only safe as long as Quirrell stands up to Snape. It'll be gone by next Tuesday, said Ron.
I love that. So the stone is only safe as long as Quirrell stands up to Snape? It'll be gone by next Tuesday.
That's a good one. Ron's got some. He's got some good lines.
Ron is a realist. Ron is a realist.
Oh yeah. No, he's real down to earth and everything. So we'll
Yeah.
go ahead with the final thoughts. I will say our last chapter review was about an hour and a half. This one looking like it's going to be under 50 minutes, so a bit of
This
a
was a
reprieve
shorter.
for all
Yeah,
our
this was a
listeners.
shorter chapter. Yeah.
So,
and what do we have? 4 chapters left?
I think so. Yeah, we're getting.
Are there
we're
only
getting pretty
17
close.
chapters, if I remember correctly?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're getting there. So what did you think about this chapter? I know last chapter I said it wasn't needed, that last chapter, but that last chapter had a little bit more information, had more going on than this chapter did. Like I said, this chapter is pretty short. We did figure out that the stone's being protected. We did figure out who Nicholas Flamel is, or how he relates to the whole situation.
Yep.
And what's in the package is a sorcerer's stone. So, yeah, I guess this chapter fits, and it didn't need to be long, and it was kind of to the point, and this chapter works. It works.
And one of the things, obviously, we've read the entire series multiple times. It's still, Snape's actions. Hagrid's like, yeah, Snape's a professor. Why would he want to do that? And yet we're like, Snape is clearly a terrible person. Is clearly a terrible person. And she writes Snape so well for 7 books. And so it's it's a good chapter. It's a good chapter.
Well,
and
then we also get to see a little bit more about Neville.
We do see, you do get these, because at first sight, it is like, why is Neville in Gryffindor?
Yeah,
he's clumsy. Especially when you look at the way that the was it this book or is it the next book? I can't remember. But when the Sorting Hat talks about the founders, was that this book? In his thing where he's like, Helga Hufflepuff is like, and I'll take the rest, as far as the students are. And so you're like, well, Neville really no discernible talents as far as courageous and then smart, and then he's not, ambitious like Slytherin. So you'd be like, oh, he would be he's an awesome kid. Like, he's great. He wants to be friends. You could tell he's loyal, right? So you'd be like, oh, there's this. And I think when you look at what he's gone through, it's interesting because, at least in my mind, in conversations where I've had other people, just the similarities between Neville and Harry, for obvious reasons that we know, but Harry has this thing throughout the books where it's like, do I have Slytherin tendencies?
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm supposed to be a Gryffindor, but there's this part of me, and it's almost like I think that because Neville came from a long line of witches and wizards.
Oh yes.
Does he have the same thing between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff? Like,
I would imagine. So.
So it's you learn to love Neville in many ways, but this is like you said, we see flashes of what Neville can do.
Yeah, then we see
Neville,
flashes of Harry's generosity and him standing up for people, trying to make them feel good about themselves with all he's been through with the Dursleys.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, don't we all have a little bit of Slytherin in us? But then Neville does not. He does not.
Well, and that's the thing. J.K. said on multiple situations, everyone has all four houses, right? Their talents are not exclusive.
Yeah.
To the houses. So it's, her thing was like, she didn't, it's not like she talked up regretting it later on, but she's like, it did really, there in the writings, it almost became
like a segregation.
Factionist. Yeah. Like, oh, you're and it's like, look, we're all, she tried to kind of hammer it home in Goblet of Fire at the Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah.
Like, look, we are Hogwarts. And then at the end, Dumbledore tries to nail it down. Yeah. Yes, we're taking down all of the house flags. We're all Hogwarts. Yeah, so it's so it's.
Well, it's even when we meet other Harry Potter fans. Oh, what house are you in? Oh, I'm in this house. Oh, cool. I mean, that's pretty much the extent of that.
Yeah.
I think it's more of an affirmation. Like, is this person really a Harry Potter fan? Do they know their house? This is a test. This is really a test.
Yeah. So loved the chapter. Good chapter.
Yeah. So go ahead and join us for our next chapter review, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback, chapter 14. Man, we're getting so close to the end of this book, and realistically, we've only been recording this podcast for just a handful of months, less than a handful of months, and it's going swimmingly with us. It's great. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead, leave us a comment and a like. And you know what? If you're listening to this and you're like, man, I really don't like listening on this app, tell us where we should go. What platform did I miss? What are we missing? And we'll try to get on there. Apple Podcasts, that's a whole nother monster. I don't know when that's going to happen. It's a very complicated thing for me, at least. I'm an Android guy, so Apple's like a whole nother world for me. It doesn't make sense.
I used to work for Apple.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shame. Now I'll go ahead and sign us out. The truth, it is a beautiful and terrible thing, and should therefore be treated with great caution. However, I shall answer your question unless I have a very good reason not to, in which case I beg you'll forgive me. I shall not, of course, lie. Squibs Corner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobo and co-host by Andrew Beecham. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review to inquire about being a guest and for questions, comments, or to just give us your Harry Potter story. Email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow my YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Squibs Corner.